So the next potion that we're going to be making is bitters, and bitter is a flavor that we're not necessarily accustomed to in our American culture. But it's a really, really important flavor of our ancestors. Bitter is a ubiquitous flavor in herbal medicine. There is actually a huge range of what bitter tastes like. Why bitter is important is because the flavor of bitter actually helps us send a signal to our body to absorb and digest our food. That food is coming, and all the secretions of all of our gastric juices get the alert, and they start to go into production. And as we start to eat the food, our body is ready to receive it, to break it down, and to turn it into more of us. So bitters can be taken at the beginning of meals or even prior to meals, just to get those digestive juices flowing. And even talking about bitter, actually, even if you kind of call to mind a bitter plant that you've tried, what starts to happen is you begin to salivate. And salivation is our salivation. So your mouth is your first digestive organ. So even as you start thinking about food, and it's really good to visualize, like before you sit down to a meal, to really like dream about it, and that really gets your body prepped to be able to digest it. Bitters can be, a potion that incorporates bitter plants, but also aromatic plants. So plants that are, for instance, like fennel or anise, which we're going to be adding to our bitters today, that really also help with our digestive function. They help to basically alleviate gas and all the unpleasant things that come along with having a sometimes rich and delicious meal. Bitters are basically a way that you can have your cake and eat it too. I like to have bitters, actually like a little bottle of bitters with me all the time, because sometimes if I have something that didn't agree with me, I just take a couple drops of bitters on my tongue. And that's the thing about this potion too, you don't really need very much. If you have a small bottle of bitters, you're good to go. You just really need just a couple drops to get those juices, mouth juices, salivation going. And so I like to just keep it around with me for before meals, sometimes after meals as well. And one of a really delicious kind of pre-meal potion is you can mix a little bit of bitters with some lemon juice and some seltzer water, and it's classy and yummy, and will help you prepare for your next course. So we have a combination of both fresh herbs and dried herbs for this potion. And this is a little bit more of like the folk way of making a tincture. So we will be using high proof alcohol in this case, and this is just a high proof grape alcohol, biodynamic grape. You never ever want to use isopropyl alcohol for internal medicine. I'll just say that one more time. You never want to use rubbing alcohol. Nope. For internal medicine, it's only external. So you can use, in this case, you could use vodka, you could use brandy, you could use tequila for your bitters, or medicine grade high proof alcohol. So first thing is we're going to take some of our fresh herbs. So like I mentioned before, bitter is a very common flavor in herbal medicine. It sort of reflects the vast array of phytochemistry that's in a plant is through its flavor. So it's actually a really beautiful way to get to know a plant is to have a taste of it. It's very distinct. It's like a name. The plants that I've chosen today have very bitter elements, but they also have medicinal properties that go beyond just their flavor as bitter. So the plants I've chosen are mugwort, and mugwort is one of my favorite plants. It's like the gateway plant to herbal medicine. So many people have like their almost psychedelic stories of their connection to mugwort as introducing them to the rest of the plant world, and I definitely have a similar story of mugwort. One of the common things that people think about with mugwort is it helps with lucid dreaming, but I really think that, and I agree with that, and I think mugwort is one of those plants that's really about dropping into other liminal realms. And so when we take bitters, we actually support our enteric nervous system, so the nervous system that's in our gut, which is connected to our parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of our nervous system that really helps us rest and digest and reproduce, actually, but also get creative. Mugwort really helps us get into the parasympathetic system in order for us to dream, in order for us to get into other realms of thinking and being that we can really draw from to bring to our current times and reality in more creative and expansive ways. So pretty good for a bitter plant to add to the mix. We also have yarrow. Beautiful, beautiful yarrow. I love the leaves of yarrow. These are from my garden. And so yarrow also has a bitterness to the flavor, but the energetics of yarrow are really interesting too, because while mugwort is very expansive and liminal, yarrow is really good at boundaries. So it's not about like building strong fences like myrrh, but it's really about knowing your edge, knowing where you end and somebody else begins. So a nice energetic to add to our bitters. And then we have vervain. This is just a wild, crazy vervain over here. Vervain is a nervine, so really good calming plant for a lot of nervous agitation. Really helps to soothe that and bring that energy down in a way that is, it's not drug-like, but it just helps us to kind of rebalance our nervous system's sort of agitated, anxious response. So vervain is a very, very bitter plant. So if you've ever tried it, it's like, whoa, mouth puckering. So that's what we're going to be using as far as the fresh plants in the bitters. Other plants that you could use, that's just a very straightforward bitter, is artichoke leaf, and that's in abundance too, so that's a good one. You could use dandelion leaf. Also has some bitter elements, as you might know if you ever have chomped on an adult dandelion leaf. There's also roots like gentian. Gentian is a very strong bitter, so you could also add that to your bitters. So the first thing that I'll do just with our fresh plants, it just makes it easier to chop up some herbs into a bowl and then add them to your jar, rather than trying to add them into your jar, chopping them up. This just helps to kind of get everything equally distributed, etc., etc. Okay, and with fresh plants, we're going to add more fresh plants to our jar just because they have more water, like I said, with the cordial. So we're going to fill our jar here, probably about halfway with the fresh plants. And you can chop them up pretty finely. Honestly, have never even really seen vervain be so crazy. I don't know what the particular conditions in my yard have just like, it's gotten like a wild hairstyle, so I'm just gonna go with it and add it as it is to bitters here. Okay, a little bit more yarrow. So I have a jar of my fresh plants, a bowl of my fresh plants in my jar. I'm going to just put that right in here, like so. And then we have the dry plants. So chamomile. Chamomile is an amazing digestive herb as well as a nervine. So, a cup of chamomile tea before you go to bed at night, very soothing, very calming. But if you've ever oversteeped chamomile tea, it will go into kind of yummy, appley, into bitter. And so in this particular case, it's great. That's the aspect of chamomile that we want. We want its soothing benefits to our nervous systems, but also it has really good digestive health powers. So both as a bitter, but also as almost like a topical healing treatment to your GI tract. So we're going to be adding chamomile, and I particularly like the flavor of chamomile. We're just going to push that down a little bit. And then we have our aromatic herbs. We have coriander here, which is in a lot of cuisines, sort of before, after the meal. In India, you can have like candies with coriander and fennel and anise, and they basically help to alleviate gas and bloating and all that other stuff that comes along with especially a very heavy ghee-laden meal. So we're going to be adding a little bit of coriander in here. Fennel, another one, oftentimes is in things like sausages and all that stuff that's really rich and protein dense, just to break it up, but also super complementary to the flavors. So it's also so interesting to me how oftentimes the plant constituents and how they're beneficial to our bodies just really taste good with the thing that they help to digest. So it's kind of a beautiful marriage that is really fun about herbal medicine. So we're going to add a little bit of fennel to that mix, and then some star anise. And star anise is just beautiful. Oh my gosh, just like what a miracle. And also one of those aromatic digestive herbs. So we're going to be adding a few of those because those are pretty strong. And you can also tweak this to your taste. As I said with the Love Thyself cordial, if there's caraway or dill seed, things like that that you want to include, go for it. Ginger would also be good in here. You could also do black pepper. I think for me, bitters is it's a flavor opportunity, so go for it. So I'm going to take my spirits here. And again, you want to put your intention into your potion. So I think this is a really important sort of moment for intention, how we digest what we take in, what we want to absorb, what we want to assimilate, and what we want to let go of. So as you're making your bitters, but also as you're taking your bitters, might be just a good thing to ponder. So here we go. And here, your gorgeous bitters. And so, like the Love Thyself cordial, you want to keep this potion in a cool and dark place like a pantry for 3 weeks to a month. You can let it keep on cooking. You can just let it steep, or you can just put it through a sieve and then bottle up the bitters and give them as prezzies to the people in your life who you want to support their digestion, which is actually a really good gift to somebody, is a gift of digestion. So there you go.